Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm here to do the second Tome Around tag because I figured I'd like to do a few more tags on this channel and take part in fun conversations on BookTube. And what better way to do it than with a tag with such a great pun to it? Not to mention, I'm a great connoisseur of used books in my way. Anyway, this tag was created by the Hungry Bookworm, so I'll link to her channel down below. I have the questions listed on my phone, so I'll just go through them now. Question number 1. Do you buy secondhand books? Yes, although I have some mixed feelings about it in an eyes bigger than stomach sort of way. Most new books, at least, I buy for author events and I get them signed, and that gives them sentimental value for me. Used books are A, cheaper, and B, hypothetically easier to part with, and then ergo I get the shelf space back. But at the end of the day, the reason I acquire used books, any books, is, that bookwormish joy of, acquiring books and finding gems. And when it comes to used books, there's that element of surprise as well. You just never know what you're going to find. Question 2 is, what is your latest purchase? And I'm going to go with the free little library route. I think this was technically the last used book I got. This is Strangers and Cousins by Leah Hager Cohen. And it's basically in line with the sort of used books I find, literary or Jewish fiction that's already on my TBR. Question 3 is, what condition do you find acceptable? Honestly, most books I find are in good shape. Like I said, most of the books I acquire used are literary or mainstream fiction that's written in the last 10 years. So that means they're usually ineligible for being on a school curriculum, and so they're not marked up by, your highlighters and your underlines as much. And also they haven't been as privy to the wear and tear of time. Question 4 is, after you've read said book, do you keep it for a reread or do you donate? I have a tower of books in that direction that I am meaning to unhaul. And that's my usual MO for finishing books I owned, especially used ones. But I'm bad at follow-through. I do hope that I could resell some of them, but when I look at online services, they don't have a lot of value. Also, I get most of my books from my Friends of the Library branch, and they come with these little green price stickers on top, so I think I have too much trepidation about donating or even selling them elsewhere, and I should get over that. I'm wondering what would happen if I just give them back to the Friends of the Library, and I assume they'd just be thrilled they don't have to print out new stickers again. Question 5 is, do you have a favorite place you like to go when looking for secondhand books? I have a bit of a yearly schedule. Or maybe springtime schedule is more accurate. But anyway, I start out in May by going to the Literary Hill Book Fest, which is a very small book festival on Capitol Hill in DC. And because this event is held right down the street, I tend to spend some of my time going to Capitol Hill Books. This is the type of used bookstore which is really a row house that is crammed to the gills with books. Though I rarely find more than one book on my TBR there, and I've made a promise to myself that I'll only buy books that are already on my own TBR. Then in later May, I go to the far bigger Gaithersburg Book Festival, and that's the one where the Friends of the Library takes up a picnic area space and put their wares and donations down on it. And I go shopping and usually find 1 or 2 books through there, and then they give me a voucher for $3 off at one of their bookstores. So then in June or July, as a birthday gift for myself, I go to one of the stores, and that's where I find and acquire my biggest haul, usually like between 6 and 12 books. Said library bookstore used to be within walking distance, but now they have moved further out to an even bigger location, so given my track record, I'm wondering if I'll find even more books that are on my TBR. I don't go to the other DC area used bookstores very much, but Peg from Peg the Book Prize Addict has said that she will come back to the DC area and we'll do a used bookstore crawl together. Peg, it's a really mild winter in DC. Question 6 is hardback or paperback, do you have a preference? And as with all books, I prefer hardback books. They're sturdier, which I like for reading purposes, and also makes them more difficult to damage. And a bonus, of course, for buying them used is they're much cheaper. Question 7 is, have you found any real gems? And the two examples that come to mind don't entirely feel like they're in the spirit of the question, but I'll go for them anyway. The first is The Un-Americans by Molly Antipole, which is a short story collection I found at the Gaithersburg Book Festival one year. A hardback, and I'm pretty sure I found it within the year of its publication, and I got to buy it for something like $3. I don't actually have it anymore, but I did read it twice, so yay! The second book I have to show I didn't actually buy. It's a family heirloom that's handed down from my great aunt. It's this rather lavishly decorated Jerusalem Bible. I actually made a video about this about a year ago. I was debating getting it appraised at another DC area used bookstore, Second Story Books. The major thing stopping me though is that, well, under this nice cover is a famosule, I believe from the 1950s, not the original itself from the 1800s. So suddenly it's not quite so romantic. My great aunt insists that we've had the Bible in the family since the old country, but I'm pretty sure that's impossible unless the old country is America. I guess we came with Columbus and our Sephardi Jews, even though we speak Yiddish. Oy gewalt. Semi-relatedly, I suppose I should find a more tenable way to research my mother's family, which has been something I've been wanting to do for a little while. I recently found out that I have some distant cousins living in actual Jerusalem, and I am going there this summer with my synagogue. I'm thinking maybe I should get over my shyness and first ask my uncle for their contact information and then see about getting in touch. But that's a whole other video. So that about covers it for me now. You can find links to information about these books and these bookstores and these book fests down below. And thank you again to the Hungry Bookworm for making up this great tag. I should be back tomorrow to talk about my Friday reads. Hope you're all having a great week. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.